I'm going to show you a miracle. The little black spots you see appearing on this hummingbird egg is the chick hatching. The egg is tiny, about this big. It's the size of a small pill. The chick has to get strong enough to free itself from the egg, raise its head, and open its beak. When the mother hummingbird comes in, she knows to place her beak in its throat and give it the first little bit of food that will spark the life of these tiny flying pollinators that will go on to strengthen the food chain that we all depend upon. These magic moments happen every day on our planet, yet few people get to see them, not even the biologists that study these birds every day. Over the last 16 years, I've filmed about 130 hummingbird nests from egg to end, and about half of them make it. In doing so, I've become one of the world's leading experts in Anna's hummingbirds. Almost every time I go out with my camera, I capture something I've never seen before. It could be a hummingbird digging itself out of a snow-covered nest, or a hummingbird fighting off a caterpillar. But one of the most profound relationships I've ever had with a hummingbird has been with the hummingbird I call Bailey. When I first found Bailey, I couldn't imagine the journey she would take me on. The first video I took of her showed her hovering behind her nest, feeding her chick, but something was odd. And it wasn't until she changed angles and I slowed down the footage before I noticed something. This bird had a broken leg. Now, I'd never imagined that a hummingbird could survive having a broken leg, let alone build a nest and raise a chick, but she did. And this struggle highlights the fragility and the tenacity of these little birds, and it gives me a much better understanding of the thin margin of survival that they exist within. And when I watch these little birds closely, they reveal new miracles to me every day. And I do know a bit about miracles. It's a miracle that I'm here at all today. When I was 16, I had a horrible motorcycle crash, and I had an out-of-body experience. What brought me back was that I heard the words, "Are you ready?" "No, I'm not ready," I said. "Well, you'd better get back down there then." "How do I do that?" And I heard, "Just open your eyes." So I did, and instantly I was back on the ground surrounded by helpful people. I survived horrific injuries, and by the marvels of modern medicine, I stand here before you now. Since that day, I've endeavored to keep my eyes open to the wonders of the world all around me. It's what drove me to explore aviation, photography, conservation, and hummingbirds. I imagine if everybody had something so fascinating and fragile to follow, our planet would be an easier place to protect. Watching Bailey, I discovered some amazing adaptations to her behavior. One of the most curious was a downwards, backwards spiral. I'd never seen this before with any other bird, so I asked people what it could be, and consensus seemed to be that she was hunting for bugs, but I wasn't so sure. And when I slowed down the footage, it told a different story. Hummingbirds have to preen to keep their feathers clean enough to fly, and this can look like scratching or running their beaks through their feathers, but Bailey couldn't scratch with her good leg because she was using it to stand on. She had to fly to free up that leg and scratch under her wing, and that caused her to rotate in a slow downward spiral. And I made other discoveries as well. People used to think that hummingbirds could only nest at certain times of the year, but I've discovered them fledging on New Year's Eve. I've even filmed them hatching in snowstorms. And they can have up to 6 nests in a single year. And they can place those nests in very unusual places. And that's one reason why I decided to show my videos and photos online. I wanted people to become aware of where these little hidden homes were. If I was not so aware of where they lived, I could easily cut the branches with their nests and discard them in my garden clippings. But here's a hint. If a hummingbird starts chirping at you, look to see if it's trying to warn you away from its nest. The language barrier is huge, but if you pay attention, you may be able to understand the frantic antics of a mother hummingbird trying to protect her young. That's how I first found Bailey. One day, as I was lugging my camera through the forest, I found myself suddenly nose to beak with one of the most ferocious guardians in the woods, a mother hummingbird trying to protect her young. She was telling me to stop walking, back off. So I did. And a few weeks later, after her chick fledged, I found her building another nest. And she'd chosen a perch that could support her with her broken leg while she built it. She used a small nib on the branch like a crutch. Hummingbirds use spider web, fluff, lichen, and moss to build a nest over about 10 days, and it takes about 400 visits. It's amazing that these birds can build a nest using just their beaks and little feet. But it's really amazing when that bird only has one leg to use. Despite her handicap, Bailey still built a better nest than I ever could. But it wasn't good enough, and her eggs fell out. And that's one of the hard parts about watching birds. You can't help even if you think you want to. A few months later, she built another nest, and it was looking really good. But then we had a devastating windstorm. And I found her eggs at the bottom of the tree, and she was sitting nearby warbling her sad song. When a hummingbird loses their brood, they mourn. It's kind of hard to explain, but the tone of their chirp changes, and they return to the nest a few times to see if the brood has come back. But after a while, they know. But Bailey persists. She's still out there living her best life, and she's going to build another nest soon. And I'm going to keep my eyes open for it. And in following Bailey, I began a routine of taking a small flower feeder and placing it in the bush, just to give her a break from hunting for food. Sometimes I would hold another, and she would eye me with suspicion. Finally, after 2 years of standing like a dumbwaiter, she trusted me enough to eat from my hand. I wanted to help this small bird. This little bird with one leg had a hard life. She survived winter freezes, devastating windstorms, cunning predators, and horrible losses. But she still had the fortitude to build a nest, lay eggs, and have chicks. We could all take a lesson in persistence and resilience from Bailey. She's 4 grams of pure moxie. The small kindness that I gave to this bird made no difference to the hummingbirds of the world, but it made a huge difference to one hummingbird, to Bailey. And it made a difference to me. The kindness and the empathy that I've learned through this has made me a gentler person. And by watching these little miracles, I've been able to watch the expansion of a species, the fulfillment of the promise of life, and the triumph of tenacity over fragility. Our individual actions can sometimes feel like they make no difference in our planet. But our actions can make a lot of difference to those that we're kind to. Before today, you didn't know or care about Bailey. But now that you know, I'm sure many of you care. Please take that compassion and turn it towards your own beautiful surroundings, your backyards, a local park, a window box. Notice the little things around you. Kindness and curiosity can change the way we view our world. And if you want to see miracles, just open your eyes.